Desir kept on inversing Kraken's spells. At first, Kraken was confused about why his spells wouldn't activate, but he realized Desir was inversing them, although he found it hard to believe. Desir continued to inverse every single spell used by Kraken, so Kraken was left with no choice but to try threatening him, saying that he'd destroy the tier of Returnal. However, Desir wasn't fazed at all, and he even pounced at Kraken to steal the magic gem. Kraken was enraged after being looked down, but he was helpless when Desir used gravity control. Kraken couldn't believe that Desir activated such a complex spell so quickly, but he was even more confused when Desir started using the mana from the unprocessed magic gem. Desir refused to explain how he did it, and he further increased the gravity control's intensity until the ground beneath Kraken started to crack. However, Kraken refused to be crushed to death, and after touching his mask, he transformed into a magical beast. Desir crashed into the wall after receiving his punch, but luckily he managed to use his spell to protect himself. However, Kraken refused to let him catch his breath, and Desir was sent flying again because of a kick. Despite this, Desir still managed to pierce Kraken's leg with a flaming rod, but Kraken just pulled it out, and his wound healed in no time. Desir realized that his attack didn't work, but he didn't have time to feel disappointed as Kraken started attacking again, and it appeared that he managed to corner Desir. However, Desir skillfully dodged his punch before engulfing him with a fire spell, but surprisingly, it didn't affect Kraken at all, so he managed to catch Desir off guard and land a doom fist at his back. Kraken announced that he could still use magic in his current state, and he asked if Desir would rather die through his magic or his fist. Afterwards, he launched countless rock shards at Desir while charging simultaneously, and while Desir was protecting himself from the shards, Kraken attacked from behind before launching him up with a rock pillar. Then he declared that he would skewer Desir to his death. However, Desir inversed the earth spikes before they could reach him. Kraken was annoyed by his persistence, but he declared that it would be the end for Desir. Afterwards, he channeled his magic to create a huge mace made up of rocks, and even Desir's inversing spell couldn't stop him from doing so. Kraken immediately charged at Desir while swinging his mace. Desir made multiple layers of barriers to protect himself, but after Kraken hammered the barrier, he caused a powerful explosion shortly after. Kraken laughed, thinking that he had finished off Desir, but his mace started crumbling, and Desir appeared with his inversing spell active. Afterwards, he started inversing Kraken's transformation spell, and Kraken was helpless as his armor started cracking before exploding. Kraken was enraged, and he immediately charged at Desir. However, Desir used the magic gem's mana to create a massive fireball that he threw at Kraken. Kraken was in critical condition after receiving the spell head-on, and he could only ask for Desir's identity before his last breath. Desir was also confused about his own identity after returning to the past, but he didn't lose sight of his goal, which is to protect his friends. At the same time, it was revealed that someone was observing the battle. The next day, Professor Prelude was confused when Desir only asked to play a game of chess with Zod as a reward for protecting the tier of Returnal. She thought he was strange, similar to Zod, who accepted his request. Zod welcomed Desir, while Desir recalled that Zod is the strongest mage in the present and in the future, but most importantly, he is an irreplaceable friend. Afterwards, they started to prepare for their game. Zod lamented that he couldn't indulge in their game because he had a meeting in 27 minutes, and he asked Desir what set of rules he preferred. Desir requested the herbal method, which surprises Zod as not many know how to play under those rules. Desir recalled how the future Zod almost forcibly taught him. Zod thought it must have been tough, but it was a fond memory for Desir. While playing, Zod noticed that Desir was pretty skilled, but he was confident he could still win easily. Desir suggested that they make a wager, with the loser granting one wish of the winner. Zod thought it was impossible for Desir to grant his wish. However, Desir borrowed one unprocessed gem and started using its mana. Zod was surprised, and he immediately asked how Desir did it, but Desir told him he could get the answer through the wager. Zod agreed before asking for Desir's wish, but Desir told him that he would say it after winning. Then he declared that he would give it everything he'd got. Inside Pugman's villa, August was alone on the balcony when Pugman came and told her to help entertain the guests. He wanted to stop the rumors about their loss in the ranking tournament. August refused, so Pugman started blaming her for losing to Desir, and he told her to leave and quit the Blue Moon party if she had any complaints. August compared her party to Desir's, and while Blue Moon members continue to distance themselves from her, Desir's party continues to get even closer to each other. August thought that quitting wasn't a bad idea, and she removed her Blue Moon badge before leaving. While playing with the stuffed toy, Pram and Romantica thought that its face reminded them of someone. But they were confused when Romantica thought its face was irritating while Pram thought it was cute. At the same time, Desir praised the two for doing a great job against the Outers. However, Romantica wasn't happy at all, as both she and Pram were helpless against Kraken. And she knew that Desir would remind them that they needed to get stronger. Pram was curious why Desir had tried so hard to train them to get stronger, so Desir explained that in 13 days, a shadow world will appear, and they will be sent to conquer it. And if they fail, the world will be closer to its doom, and they will all die. Desir was determined to stop it. He declared that he wouldn't let anyone die. Romantica and Pram were confused, but they didn't doubt Desir at all, as not only is he extremely powerful despite being in the lowest circle, but every prediction he had previously made also happened. So Romantica couldn't help but get curious about his real identity. Desir fell silent, but after a few moments, he started to answer. However, Romantica interrupted him. She was still determined to uncover Desir's secret herself, so she didn't want Desir to just tell him. Desir asked if she was being honest, and he teased her by pretending to tell her everything. So Romantica covered her ears immediately while Pram declared his trust in Desir again. Desir thought they all needed to get stronger, including himself. He warned the two that it would be tough, so he asked them to stick with him. Both Pram and Romantica were already prepared for it. Desir started giving more complex training to Romantica and August, while Pram started fighting much stronger opponents in the Academy's arena. They found it difficult at first, but their determination and Desir's guidance allowed them to succeed and grow stronger, although there were some accidents in between. 13 days later, a shadow world has appeared, like Desir had stated. All students were tasked with dealing with the shadow world, and they all made their way to the auditorium with a serious expression. However, Romantica was actually in a good mood, as she and Pram were pleased with their combat uniforms, while Desir thought they looked great in them. The trio didn't enter the shadow world right away, as they waited for August first, and Romantica already understood that they needed her in their party. Before entering, Desir thought that it was the start of the battle to change their fate, and he declared that this time they would save the world. Thank you all for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this series as much as I did, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on any new series recaps coming out on this channel.